They stood there. They voted for the Democrats all down ballot and left the top box blank. 90,000. She only lost Michigan by 10, 11,000 votes. 90,000 wanted to send a message to the Democratic Party. You forgot us a long time ago out here.
So Michael Moore was on Democracy Now! And discussed why it's important to back Bernie Sanders. So I want to share this clip because I think Michael Moore makes several good arguments here.
When they talk about the working class, Amy, this just drives me crazy. Oh, Trump won all these working class votes in Michigan and Pennsylvania. No. What happened was that the Democratic Party didn't stand up in the way that they should have for what the youth wanted, for what people of color needed. And there were 90,000 people in Michigan, almost 90,000, who went to the polls, mostly Democrats, and very large numbers of them in Detroit, Flint, Pontiac, Saginaw. These are all black cities, majority black. They stood in line in the cold for 2 to 3 hours to vote. They went in there and they voted for state rep, state senate, county commission. We don't have dog catcher. We have drain commissioner, the person in charge of the sewage. That's the lowest name on the ballot. They stood there. They voted for the Democrats all down ballot and left the top box blank. 90,000. She only lost Michigan by 10, 11,000 votes. 90,000 wanted to send a message to the Democratic Party. You forgot us a long time ago out here, and we will not put up with this anymore. We're not going to vote for Trump, but we're not going to tolerate you sending us another Republican light Democrat. If we go that route, it's guaranteed we will lose the Electoral College. We will win when we put somebody on that ballot that excites the base, women, people of color, young people. When they wake up that morning, they feel the way that many of you watching, felt the morning that you were going to, in 2008, and you were going to get to go and vote for Barack Obama, and you couldn't believe this was happening in your lifetime. That if you remember that feeling, I'm not talking about, we're not going to discuss his 8 years. I'm just talking about that morning. That feeling has got to happen in the 18 to 35-year-old demographic. It has to happen with people of color and with women. We already feel that way. They already feel that way. It's just, will they come out and vote for a centrist, moderate candidate? I don't think that is going to happen. They're going to come out and vote for the fighter, for the person that shares their values. And the values of the majority of this country are the progressive values. In my opinion, I'm for Bernie Sanders, but I understand why people want to vote for Elizabeth Warren or I don't know. Well, nobody else actually has those particular values.
I just want to pause there for a second. So Michael Moore makes a great point here, and this reminds me of MSNBC, Rachel Maddow. After Donald Trump won the election in 2016, Rachel Maddow had a segment on the Jill Stein voters. How Jill Stein cost Hillary Clinton the election because those voters, in Michigan, that could have gone to Hillary, they went to Jill Stein instead. Multiple problems with this. It assumes that Jill Stein voters would have voted for Hillary over just staying home, which I don't think. I think most Jill Stein voters would have just stayed home if she wasn't on the ballot. They wouldn't have voted for Hillary Clinton. And it also ignores the fact that Michael Moore brings up here that about 90,000 people that voted Democrat down ballot left the top field blank, didn't vote for either Hillary or Trump. That tells you everything you need to know. You need a candidate in 2020 that actually excites people out to vote. That not even just gets those 90,000 to vote for the Democrat on the ticket, but also brings out young people that didn't come out for Hillary Clinton, brings out the typical non-voter that didn't come out for Hillary Clinton, brings out independents that didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. The only candidate that excites all three of these bases is Bernie Sanders. He has the young people. You need to excite those people out to vote in 2020. He has those people. He has young people. He has a typical non-voter because Bernie's a lifelong independent. Bernie has called out the establishment in both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party his entire career, not even including the media establishment, the corporate establishment. Bernie Sanders has a track record of calling out whoever, regardless of whatever issue, because his allegiance is to the people. It's not to any corporation, not to any party. It's to the people. That brings out your typical non-voter because they finally see a politician on the ballot that isn't your typical standard robot politician. someone that actually has a 40-year record fighting for people. And on top of that, that also goes to the point for independent voters. Many independents, many who stayed home, many progressive independents who stayed home, Bernie Sanders brings those people out. So this is just like, these are points that I hope more people hear. Like, I hope the cable news audience hears, because that's who needs to hear this. The people that watch my show, generally, they know this stuff. But if you watch my show, share this with your friends and family. Not even just this video, but this argument. Tell them about this. Show them Michael Moore talking about this. Like, that's who you need to reach. You need to reach those people who still think that Joe Biden's the most electable one, even though he has the same strategy that Hillary Clinton did in 2016, reaching out to the conservative voter. How'd that work out? All Hillary did was suppress the Democratic base, suppress young people, suppress independents, suppress typical non-voters. You need to bring out the people that didn't come out in 2016. And those Democratic voters that came out for Hillary in 2016, they're going to come out anyways, regardless of the candidate in 2020. So you have those people regardless. So on top of that, you have to get the people that in 2016 did not come out to vote. Bernie Sanders has those people. Let me continue this.
So both of them are good. I've had Elizabeth in a couple of my films. But Bernie Sanders has the record. When Elizabeth said there a few weeks ago that she voted Republican until 1996, that really kind of took me. But I think, okay, well, we welcome everybody, and if you used to vote for Republicans, fine. But Bernie, go back to Bernie in 1963, the photo of him. I don't know if anybody has it in the control room, of him being arrested as a college student in a civil rights demonstration in Chicago. 1963. That's Bernie Sanders. They're hauling him away. He's not doing the thing that they teach us to do in civil disobedience, where you just go limp and let them take. He's fighting the cops. You know, that's Bernie Sanders. He's never changed. And so I know that there's a history. So many of his ideas are now the popular way in terms of minimum wage, in terms of equal pay, mass incarceration, these things that you know. And look, I mean, just like any candidate, he's a politician. You know, people watching this will have their disagreements or whatever. But one thing you can't disagree with is he has been true to his convictions. He will fight like hell for us. The fact that 52% of young people are for him in the latest poll, 52% of young voters are for him. The millennial that's running, 2%. 2% of 18 to 35-year-olds are for the person their age. Young people want.
You're talking about Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, Pete Buttigieg. Yes, I'm not trying to pronounce the name. It is Buttigieg. No, but that the youngest people want the oldest person. Why? Why? How could that be? I think it's because they know their future is screwed. The future of this planet is. They probably think, and they may not be right, that it's already too late. Bernie. He's fighting for this. They know he's fighting for their future. Bernie has no future. No offense if he's watching. I mean, live long and prosper. But let's just admit he's in the final quarter of his life, you know? And he's willing to give up his final years to fight so that these 18 to 35-year-olds will have a future. And they know that. That's why they're for them. And I say to adults my age, maybe we owe it to the young people, because we were supposed to leave them a better country. We were supposed to leave them a better planet. And we, the 60s and 70s generation, we haven't done that. So maybe we owe it to these young people to get behind the person they want. It's their future. That's our responsibility.
100%. Michael Moore hits the nail on the head. I mean, that's exactly right. And that's an argument that I'm not sure if it works. The last argument there that he makes, like, I agree with it. I'm just not sure if it works on, you know, the typical boomer, telling them you owe it to young people to vote for Bernie Sanders. Look who they're with. Trust in them. It may work, you know. Maybe if your grandma loves you enough, tell your grandma that. Maybe it works on her. But he's so right. And by the way, so he gives a little, you know, a slight nod, or at least you know, an openness to Elizabeth Warren here. But you should listen to his podcast. So, especially listen to, so he had an episode with Alex Press, I believe. I want to make sure that's her name. Yeah, Alex Press of Jacobin. So, look up that episode. Michael Moore's podcast is called Rumble. Listen to the episode with Alex Press. he gives his real feelings on Elizabeth Warren. So look, he's going to be conciliatory, or not conciliatory, but he's going to be a little more kind, on television maybe. But no, he gives his real thoughts on Elizabeth Warren in that podcast. It's well worth listening to. Also, the episode with Anand Giridharadas, fantastic episode, just beautiful. Listen to that one as well. Don't listen to the one with Robert De Niro. The episode with Robert De Niro, I couldn't finish it. Once Robert De Niro mentioned that he likes Bloomberg, Joe Biden and Bloomberg, I'm like, all right, done with this episode and moved on. But Alex Press, Anand Giridharadas, I really enjoy Michael Moore. Like I don't always agree with him, but I enjoy hearing his opinion because he's an honest guy. Like he gives his thoughts, he tells it like he sees it, and he has a long history in this. I mean, he backed Bernie when Bernie first ran for Congress back in the 90s or late 80s. So he's been in this fight for a long time, and really the American people have caught up with him and Bernie Sanders. They've been there for a while. Everyone else has finally caught up. Mostly young people growing up in this situation, recognizing how ridiculous it is. Student loan debt, cost of housing, the cost of living in general, and young people, being more engaged in politics, being online, understanding what is broken with the system, understanding how it's rigged. Young people are more engaged and they know who can fix it. And that candidate and the movement is with Bernie Sanders.